Welcome, everybody, to another week of our Monday night sales call. We have an exciting guest coming on this week. We have, let me find him here. We have Mitchell Tucker coming on with us. And there he is. Hey, Mitchell. What's up, man?
Brother?
Shoot, can you
I
hear
need
me?
a nice background like you.
Hold on a minute. You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. All right, good. For some reason, I couldn't hear you, but I got that fixed. So we got several people on here now. And so, Mitchell, I'm glad to have you on here. I'm excited. Our new LoneStar Ranger. Congratulations a lot on that.
Awesome.
But yeah, I want to, break it down. Figure out what you've done to have so much success in this business. We have a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds in this now that we all hear from and see in the chat groups and different things like that. And so, we like to bring them on here and, really break it down and hear your story and see if you can share some knowledge with us that helps out the rest of our community. Right.
Yeah,
So
you do it.
tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started with TEXITcoin.
Well, I don't have any direct sales experience whatsoever. I was a cop for 13 years, got out of law enforcement December of 2017, went into the private space, opened up a private security firm. And that's my experience. I have some sales in the private security space, but it definitely is not my bread and butter. Um, I do love crypto, though. I got involved in TEXITcoin because of the crypto. Funny enough, I didn't even understand or know the whole affiliate model and the 1, 2 free and all that stuff when I got involved. Um, but there's three things that I would like to share with people that I think have been a result of some of the success that I've seen. I had a gentleman call me today and ask me, he said, Mitchell, how are you generating these leads? How are you signing these people up? And I asked him how many people he had signed up. And, it was a decent amount, a respectable amount of people that he had sponsored. But then I asked him, how many contacts do you have in your phone? The biggest problem that we all struggle with is wondering, what are they going to think? Being worried about what other people think.
Yeah.
Because I haven't even touched probably 10% of the contacts in my phone, right? So it's not about, you don't have to go out and cold contact and talk to people in the grocery store, right? You have hundreds and hundreds of numbers in your phone right now. And if you just get out of your way, if you want it bad enough, you'll call them. And look, if you call 500 people, you'll probably at least get 150 and you'll have one of the largest teams in the company. It's just about how bad do you want it, So that's one thing I would love to share. What do you think about that, Gaige?
Yeah. Yeah, you made a good point. Like, you have to want it. You do have to feel that fire inside of you and drive you to reach out and start talking to people. That's what I've always talked about on here a lot too is you don't have to look and find the perfect person. You just have to get out there and start sharing this message with people and figure out the responses and the responses to the objections and different things like that. And eventually it will start working, right? It will start clicking. You just have to be persistent to keep going and going and going, which you've done exceptionally well. I mean, you have one of the largest organizations in this thing, which is just, I'm honored to have you on here and everything. It's going to be great. If anybody has any questions that you'd like, drop them in the Q&A chat too. I've got that pulled up here so I can see that real time. Or if you guys have any questions for Mitchell, don't be afraid to shout them out here. We'll cover them. But one thing that I also wanted to know, that it's always intrigued me about your success is how you got started in Florida, of all places, with, you were one of the first people in Florida. There was no billboards. There was, no TEXITcoin marketing going on. There was just Mitchell Tucker, right? And so you started sharing the message with people, signing on a few people here and there. But then I've also noticed, and learned from you that you're very concerned about the cost when you're putting on these events and different things. So I know how you got started. You got started with a very, very cheap way of promoting these events, doing these events, bringing people on, and you had a lot of success with it. And so that's what I'd like to know. How did you get started with that? How did you find the place? How did you figure out how to keep your costs super low, something that you were okay with putting out, bringing out of money out of your own pocket to start doing this and start bringing people on?
Yeah. So really, it's about finding your key leaders in your area. So I pushed back very hard on the dinners, right? I didn't want to do them. I had no
Yeah.
desire. My mentality, which wasn't correct at the time, because I'm about to tell you how powerful local dinners are. But my mentality was, why do a local dinner when I can do a Zoom and people in the comfort of their own home from all around the country can jump in, and I can probably get more people on a Zoom than I can at a Monday night at a local restaurant in town. So I pushed real hard against the dinners forever. And I had a couple key leaders in my area here in Ocala, Florida, that were killing it. And they kept asking me to do these dinners. And props to them, because I finally caved only because of them. And I said, okay, let's do them. And I said, but if I'm going to do this, y'all better pack the place, right? So I had about 4 or 5 people that were asking me to do the dinners, and I followed up with them like daily until the day of the dinner, right? How many people? Who do you have coming? What are the names? Right? And then all the way up until the day. That afternoon, I did it one last time, called each individual one of my leaders, and I said, hey, how many people do you have coming? And made them commit to a number, right? And the local dinners were absolutely phenomenal. You cannot get the energy and excitement on a Zoom that you can get in person, especially when the room holds 75 people comfortably and you put 98, 100 people in there and they're sitting like this. And the excitement in the room is just insane. You'll see your closure rate skyrocket, right? Because they're around a bunch of other people. They're seeing, people who have been in Texas now for months are still showing up at the meetings. They're still bringing guests. They're still excited. And your closure rate in that kind of situation is 10 times stronger than on a Zoom.
Yeah. You know, I didn't know what to think about the dinners at first as well, and I didn't really go out and find restaurants to do dinners at. I just did local meeting places. I actually took advantage of when the weather was better at the local parks and stuff. Didn't cost me anything whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I'd get a group of people there. But like one of the key things that I've always told people too, if you're going to put on one of these meetings, you do just like what you said. You have to reach out to these people. Get a few people to start calling people and get the place packed. But you have to stay on them. You have to stay on them every single day, even a couple times a day. You do have to be following up and be persistent about it, because nobody's gonna come to something with a Facebook post, right? Just a random message, Facebook post thing, and a flyer in the newspaper, something like that. It takes a lot of work, but at the end of the day, those closing rates, just like you're saying, it works out. They get better and better, especially the more you do them and the more consistent you do them. I think a lot of people will schedule one and put one on with no plan on following it up with another event, right? I don't know if a lot of people out there know this, but the way you guys did it, and you did it the same place, the same time, every single week, every single Monday, the proof's in the pudding. Your numbers just kept going up and up and up and up and up until finally you had to expand and you had to find a bigger venue, right? You had to find a bigger room because the numbers just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And everybody knew, like, hey, by the time they've heard about it from 3 or 4 different people, all right, well, I know where it's at. I can go to the Red Lobster down the street, blah, blah, blah. It's Monday night. At least they'll pay for dinner. And then they show up, right?
Right.
Because everybody's a little bit different. Some people will show up the first time you call them. They'll say, yeah, I'll be there, and they do that. But that's not the majority. The majority of people you really, really have to work for. And, the statistics out there say it takes 10 or 12 times to really close somebody, right? 10 or 12 contacts before
Right.
you actually convert that prospect or convert that lead. And so I'm sure you've probably seen it where you had people showing up 2 or 3 dinners in a row or something before they would finally, sign up with us and stuff. But it's that consistency of keeping the ball going and keeping it, same place, same time, everything every week, where you have an organization that also is helping, bring their prospects there. They're getting a free sales pitch from one of their top guys just by bringing their people and serving them a free dinner, and then they get all the benefits and the rewards from it, right? And so that's what this thing was created for too, to be a team effort. And I think if a lot of people can go out there and find those, work together, find 2 or 3, 4 good people that are, willing to help and want to succeed and have that success, you guys, everybody out there can build just like this, right? It's a very simple formula. It's finding a place, finding a time, and then advertising, spreading the word. But you also said another thing there that's very important is you got to follow up and make sure you get the answers and make sure you get the commitments, whether it's, hey man, how many people are you got coming, right? If you don't stay on them, they'll say, oh, I've got a few people, they've said they're going to try to come. And then if you don't ever follow up with them, those people are never going to show up. It never happens, right? It takes the work of putting in the calls and tying these people down, because once you followed up with them and you've tied them down, you've got that commitment out of them. Most people are their word, right? Once they say, okay, I'm going to be there, they will be there, right? But if you let them off the hook with oh, I'm going to try to be there, or yeah, if I can make it, I will, right? Those are people politely telling you no, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, another powerful thing that I've done too that people can take advantage of for really relatively cheap is, I'm sure there's other platforms out there. I'm not specifically advertising this one, but the one I use is called SlickText, and it's an SMS platform. So what I do in my meetings, towards the end of the meeting, I say, look, if you'd like to stay up to date on when we do these meetings and when we have different events, text the word Texit, TEXIT, to 844-327-1627, whatever that's not the real number, guys, but just whatever the random number is, right? And they get added to my list. And then whenever I get ready to do another meeting, I blast it out again. Hey, remember tomorrow night, Red Lobster, 7 p.m. Make sure you're there. Whoever brings the most guests is going to get some Texas swag, whatever. So I'm blasting it out to everybody all at once, and keeping them up to date and reminded that the meeting is coming up, right?
yeah,
Look, there's a guy who comes to the meetings on Monday nights, and when we were doing them there at Red Lobster, and he was signing up a decent amount of people every week. He had a new guest, right? His very first one and his second one both came in with 9-packs. And I was talking to him because people are constantly asking, what do you say? What's the pitch? How do you get him there? This is incredible. You hear this is what he would tell the people. Hey, do you know anything about crypto? 99% of the time, people are going to say, nope, not really. No, not, I mean, I know what Bitcoin is, right? They don't know much about it. Look, I don't know anything either, but I have a buddy who is absolutely crushing it. He is making a lot of money in crypto. He does this thing on Mondays at 7 p.m. at Red Lobster, and they pay for your meal. I really want to go check it out. He teaches exactly how he does it for free, but I don't want to go alone. Do you mind coming with me?
yeah, that's slick.
That's all he does. And he has a brand new guest sitting next to him every Monday, and he's slaying it. So he doesn't mention TEXITcoin. He never tries to explain anything at all. And he gets him there. And the reason why this is powerful, I love this analogy. Most people on the call tonight is probably flown commercially, right? I know you have, Gaige. When you got onto the plane, the pilot was standing right there to greet people, 99% of the time. When you walk past the pilot, you never stop to ask him, hey, where'd you go to flight school? Can I see your pilot's license? How long have you been flying? You just assumed he's an expert. You walked right past him, you said hi, you sat down, you buckled up, and you took off. Now, think about that one person in your life that you trust the most and you love the most. Maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your husband, your kid, whatever it is. You have at least one person in your life that you trust more than anyone in the world. What if that person was to come to you, Gaige, and say, look, I have a secret. I've never told you this, but I'm actually a pilot. And there's a plane outside. Let's go for a fly. Would you just be like, okay, jump in the plane and take off? Or would you be like, hold up. Let me see your license. Where'd you go to pilot school? You would have questions, right?
Right.
But why is that? That person you love and trust more than anyone in the world. The truth of the matter is, the stranger is always the expert. There may be people on the call tonight that know 100 times more about crypto than I do, but your friends and family will listen to me before they do you. And it's quite the opposite with me. I may know a lot more about crypto than a lot of people on the call, but my closest friends and family may listen to you over me because a stranger is always the expert. So don't try and explain the whole situation to get them there. Just get them there. I don't want to go alone. Will you please come with me? That's been the most powerful thing you can do.
Yeah, that's pretty slick. Um, One of the questions we got here from people is, how do you bring this up to prospects? What's your dialogue with a prospect? And I think what you just hit on is probably a key thing too. Like in that first initial contact with that you have with somebody, if you're texting them or reaching out to them, or trying to get them to a Zoom or something, is just casually ask them and have the conversation. It's all about just having a normal conversation. You can't come off and tell people that you have this new greatest thing and you want to share, you want to share this opportunity with them. Like that's when the walls go up, the red flags come out and they're like, whoa, 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 I'm not interested. Right. And you get told no before you can even get into it. And, but yeah, what's your take on that? How do you bring this up to people?
I would say the most powerful thing you can do is say as little as you can do, as you possibly can. I'm telling you, the fastest way to get a no is to try and explain everything before you get them to the meeting. If you start, especially if you mention anything about left leg, right leg, you get these points and
Oh yeah.
you're done. You're done. You'll never get it. So do not mention anything. If you want to go into it a little bit, then I would say, do you know anything about crypto? They say more than likely they're going to say no. And well, I have a buddy that actually teaches you how to mine crypto. And this is like as deep as I would go if you feel like you have to go into it at all. I would say, well, I have a buddy that actually shows us how to mine crypto instead of just buying it and holding on to it, waiting for it to go up, selling it and making the profit. He actually shows you how you can actually produce it every day, 7 days a week. It's an incredible thing. You want to come check it out? Like that's as deep as I would go. You go any deeper than that, you're going to lose them.
Yeah, and the other thing to add on that for the people on the call is like you don't have to necessarily tailor it towards getting to a meeting either. Like I always in the beginning would tell people, you know, look, yeah, I got this crypto deal. It's pretty exciting and everything. I'd like to get with you sometime and talk about it. Even if I'm standing with them right there at, some place, whether it's the ball field or gas station, wherever we run into them, try to get with them another time. You can sit down, show them things, and actually go through that full presentation because you're never going to have the time or the ability to do it on the spot. Right there at the first time you've talked to them about it. And I think a lot of people try to go in depth way too fast. And that, again, that's what brings up those walls. That's where you get those no's, and then you can't progress into the next phase of the sale, right? Or the next step of the sales process or anything like that. So that's a good one. But another one, so anonymous attendee here says,
Oh gosh.
Mitchell, you come across as a very sincere and trustworthy man. I think there is a lot to do with that has a lot to do with your success.
Oh, thanks.
People know where they are. People know where they are at with you.
Well, I
So
appreciate it, anonymous attendee.
yeah, yeah. So that's awful nice. What I would say to that though, like if you're not feeling like you're genuine and authentic and sincere when you're talking to people about this though, like that's your biggest problem right there, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know about you, Mitchell, but like most of the people that I've talked to, it's literally just me and you sitting here having a conversation, and then one thing leads to another, and they're like, okay, all right, well then I'll do it. They'll usually say I'll do it before I've even broke down and told them like, hey, you can buy seats and one seat or nine. The switch is already flipped in their brain before you really get into how they can get involved into this thing, right?
Yeah, and it's easy to feel confident and come across that way because TEXITcoin has literally changed my life. And it's so funny. We had a Ranger roundup this last week, right? Thursday through Saturday.
Yep.
And during that training process, Tim actually had everyone get up and give a 5-minute pitch. Well, I have a pretty large team. I've sponsored a lot of people, and I struggled with that 5-minute pitch. I mean, I did it, and I think I did well with it, but I've never done a 5-minute pitch or a 2-minute pitch, right? It just doesn't work like that. I maybe just say enough just to pique their interest, and then they get the whole thing, right? Either on a Zoom or in a meeting. So narrowing it down to 5 minutes was a little bit difficult for me, which I thought was, it's kind of funny and ironic, but I share very little with them. But I do have one technique people can use. And I tell people, wouldn't you like to have 50 people a week ask you about Texit and never spend a penny to do it? Pretty cool, right?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to show you guys how to do this. Now, it's not easy, right? It's going to be difficult. But how hungry are you? Do you want to make this work? Now, it would be much easier to go through your contacts, right, and call the people in your phone. But if you don't want to do that for whatever reason, or you say, Mitchell, I got a brand new phone, I only have 10 contacts. Okay, well, this is what you can do next. I want you to ask 10 people a day. It's a lot of people. You're going to have to get out there and work. I want you to ask 10 people a day, what do you do for a living? Now, I didn't come up with this, guys. I read it in a book, phenomenal icebreakers. You might want to check it out. But this works and it's duplicatable. So anyone in your team can do this. No tech involved and no money involved. Ask 10 people a day what they do for a living. Gaige, if I asked you what you did for a living, you would tell me what you do, and then what would you follow it up with? A question. You would say,
What do you do?
what do you do? Guys, it happens 99.999% of the time. It's a psychological thing. It's what they do. They'll tell you and they'll ask you what you do. You know what I tell them? Not Texit. I never mention Texit. I say crypto. That's it. Because when you say crypto, I didn't answer their question, right? What do you do with crypto? Do you stake crypto? Do you buy and hold crypto? Do you mine crypto? Do you invest in pools? There's a lot that you can do in crypto. So they 99.9% of the time, they ask me, well, what do you do in crypto? Like, how do you make money in crypto? What does that even mean?
Yep.
And this is where this is the funny part, guys. But I'm telling you, this works. That's when you pull out your phone, or if you wear a watch, you look at your watch and you say, oh man, I would love to tell you, but I really got to get going. Hey, can I get your number real quick? That's it. Get their number and leave. Don't open your mouth. Whoa, hold on, I missed a step. Once you got their number and you got their name, everything's in your phone, then you say, you can play this up as much as you want, right? Like act like you're about to leave and then turn around and be like, oh, real quick, what are you doing Wednesday night at 7? Are you free? Don't just say, hey, let's get in contact sometime, or I'd love to share it with you sometime and leave. No, get them to commit to an exact date and time, right?
Yeah.
If there's local meetings in your area, get them to commit, like local Monday at 7. Not tonight, but next Monday we'll be doing our meeting at Red Lobster. So I would say, hey, what are you doing Monday night at 7? Are you free? Get them to say, yeah, I'm free. Okay, awesome. I'll be in contact with you. And then leave. Then reach out to them, send them the flyer. Hey, are you still free Monday night at 7? They say yes. Awesome. I'll see you there. Give them the information, right? And if you do that 10 times a day, 5 days a week, that's 50 people a week, right? You're going to close
You're going to get some.
You're going
Yeah.
to get some.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of how hungry you are. And I did this for about 30 days straight. And I didn't miss. I'd be laying in bed and realize, oh man, I only asked 6 people what they did today for a living. And I would open up my phone because you don't have to do it all in person. And I'd start reaching out to people on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever, and get that conversation rolling and generate leads that way too. It's very powerful and anybody can do that.
What do you how are you reaching out to them on the social media? Like, because in person, that's easy, right? That's easy for me to do all that. But like for these people on the call, how do you do that for Facebook? How do you do that for Instagram?
Right. Well, you got to warm up, right, guys? You can't just hit them right off the rip. Like, hey, what are you doing Monday night at 7? You've never had a
Yeah.
conversation with them. That's just
Yeah.
weird, right? And you can't start the conversation with, hey, I'm Mitchell. What do you do for a living, right? We got to use
Yeah.
some like basic communication skills here. So I just might start the conversation with, hey, Mark, I see we have some friends in common. It's always great meeting like-minded people. How are you? That's it. He's going to respond and say something. Maybe he doesn't respond, whatever. I go to the next person. He responds. We just have an open dialogue. After we talk, share a couple messages back and forth. Mark, what is it you do for a living? Mark tells me and he says, what about you? Oh, I'm actually in crypto. So, oh, really? What do you do in crypto? Now, you don't have that excuse. Well, I really got to go, but I would,
Right.
so that doesn't really work on social media as well as far as that goes. But I would say, well, I'd love to share with you sometime. Hey, can I reach out to you on the phone? You shoot me your number, I'll call you.
Yeah.
Then I move it over to the phone and it's a little bit more personable, right? And then I invite them to the meetings, whether it's on Zoom or on an in-person Zoom.
So I think I think that's what a lot of people have asked here on this call. Same thing with me is like I used to reach out to tons of people through Facebook, right? Because everybody's on Facebook. And man, I don't know if you've watched one of these calls before, but I think it was last week or the week before. I literally like used to do Facebook posts, and I used to be so cocky and arrogant, and I would just post something TEXITcoin and just be like, ask me what's up, or like, you think it ain't real, check this out, something. Like, I used to be real cocky when I did Facebook posts, but that would get all the responses. That would get people like talking, right? Good and bad, but it was people talking. And so I had a lot of success with that. But now I've exhausted my inner, my close friends, family, friends of friends, right? The main network, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
where now with Facebook, I just don't get the responses as much anymore, even reaching out to them, right? And so that's what I've been trying to come up with different ways um, to send out Facebook message. Because if anybody hits me up with, "Hey, I see we have friends in common," blah blah blah, I'm not responding, right? I wouldn't respond to that.
You know what's coming next. Well, I will tell you your results are going to be better in person, 100%,
Oh yeah,
coming through your phone without a doubt. Um, I would say your closure rate drops tremendously, tremendously if you're reaching out cold contact on social media, right? Um,
yeah,
but and like I said, I'm giving you guys ideas and things that I've done that I have seen success with, but you're never going to beat the success rate of going through the numbers on your phone. That stuff people don't want to hear because I guarantee you scroll through your phone, there's a ton of numbers there of people you haven't called, and for whatever reason you're hesitant to call them, you're afraid of what they're going to think or whatever the case may be. If you could just get over that feeling of being worried about what other people think, you don't need any other technique or strategy or lead gen, nothing, because every single person in here has enough contacts in their phone to have one of the largest teams in the company. You just got to get over what they think.
yeah. I believe that. I got one for you, and I get this a lot, right? This anonymous attendee asked, "Do you ever send people videos when you contact them?" Like, I always have a ton of people reaching out to me, like, "Hey, what's the best video to send somebody?" I
Mhm.
always like, I want to know how you respond, and then I'll tell you what I do.
So I do. My first strategy is to get them to the meeting, right? But a lot of times people want more information. Do you have, can you send me some
Yeah,
information? And if
yeah,
they're really pushing me to send them information, I will. It's not ideal, in my opinion. I'd rather get them to a meeting, or get them on a Zoom. But if they're really pressing me hard, there's a lot of really good videos out there. There is one, Mike Healy. If you guys don't know Mike Healy, he's on the team. He puts out phenomenal videos. I strongly recommend some of his videos. He has one called The Path to 16. I'm sure a lot of people has already seen it. Um, that one I've seen a lot of success with. I really, really like that video. So that's the one I would recommend. If you're going to send a video, that's the one I send.
yeah. How do you? So, like, what if you first talk to somebody, right? And he's like, "Hey, Mitchell, I want to tell you about TexitCoin, whatever." Like, and you're like, "Okay, well, send me some info." Like, what do you send them? Do you send them the path to 16? Then, like, how do you follow up with them after that first time talking with them?
Yeah, so I will say, yeah, I'll send you a video. Then I'm gonna give you a shout, see if you have any. I'll give you a call back, see if you have any questions. When should I call? Are you? Can
Yeah,
I
yeah,
call you like in an hour? That
yeah.
way, it forces them to take the time to watch the video. I don't say I'll call you next Monday. Forget about it. You lost it, guys. I
Well, then
say,
you're also going to bring out that objection too, because a lot of times people are saying, "Well, send me some more info," which is their polite way of saying,
no.
"No, I'm not interested." Right. So
Right.
when you nail down that, "Hey, I'm going to call you in an hour," they're going to be like, "Oh, no, 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 I'm busy." Blah blah blah. Okay, and so then you have to keep digging deeper. Okay, well, what if I call you first thing in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about? Oh, yeah, yeah, I can have a watch by then. Then you have something to go on, right? Because that's the other thing. Send me more information. I've always called it a masked objection, right? They're just politely saying no, they're not interested without telling you no, because nobody ever wants to tell anybody no,
Right.
right?
Yeah, and this feels uncomfortable for 99% of people, right? You don't want to come off salesy. You hate the way that makes you feel. I get it. But when you believe in the project, this is how I look at it, guys. Um, every time that someone tells me yes, I'm blessing them, right? Everyone on this call, I think, would agree that they've been blessed by TexitCoin. Like I can't even tell you how blessed I feel. I got involved in TEXITcoin in February, and we are in November, and my life looks dramatically different. Dramatically different. I'm
Right.
driving two dramatically different vehicles, right? I'm dramatically debt free. Like
Yeah.
it's changed my life. So it's so much easier to sell it, right? When you realize like they just don't know what you've got. So, it's a little bit easier when you have that mentality. So yeah, that's why I say, look, hey, check out this video and I'll call you in like an hour. Does that work? And then I have most people say yes to that. And if they don't because they're at work, or they might say, I'm sorry, I'm at work. Awesome. What time do you get off? And I'll reach out
Yeah.
to you or whatever. You have to be consistent. In my opinion, you have to nail down a time right then and there as to when you're going to call them back. Because if you
Yeah.
don't, the video is not going to get watched and they're going to hope that you just disappear.
Right. Right. You got to nail them down. You got to follow up. But I think you said something else too. When you generally believe in it, right? And that's where you get that sincere, authentic, genuine, you know, feeling from people opposed to being salesy, right? The people that feel they're salesy, well, in the last industry I was in, we always called it drinking the Kool-Aid, right? When you believe in what you're selling, right, so much that again, we've all been blessed by it, we believe in it. When this is it and you genuinely believe it, people feel that, right? And that's when you come off sincere and genuine. If you feel like you're coming off salesy, it's probably because you are, and you don't know something, or you don't know enough about this project, or there's something about it that has you bothered, right? To where that's where you're struggling to find the success and find the people, to commit to this. It's usually because of the way that you're sharing it, right? And that's the thing. If you're drinking the Kool-Aid and you believe in this the way that we believe in this thing, then people are going to want to get involved just because you're so passionate about it,
Yeah.
right? You said one of the earlier too, like as long as it's a stranger, they're an expert, right? And that's a key thing too. Like when you're passionate and you're genuine, you're authentic, and you're sharing this message with people, whether you know them or not, you know that's going to resonate with them, and they're going to be fired up just as much about it, whether they understand what you're talking about or not. I've had several meetings where I've had some older folks, in my room, and I'm sharing this message with everybody, and they'll literally tell me, well, hey, we want to get in, we don't know anything about this, didn't understand hardly anything, but we want to be a part of it, right? And so it's all right, well, I'll help you. And you do have to go a little bit further with some people and really help them along, to educate them too. I know you've done that extremely well, where you're not just out there putting butts in seats and signing people up, but you're helping and educating people, so that way that they can go out there and duplicate what you're doing, and getting more involved with this project. The more people we can get involved with this project too, the more people we can get on these Monday night, Tuesday night sales calls, Thursday night calls. The more success we're all going to have as a team as well. Not just selling the seats, but also getting people educated about what they're doing, and so that way they can go out there and educate the next people, that don't know about TEXITcoin yet as well. That's a key part of this whole project as well.
Absolutely.
Um, we got Philip says, what? Oh, we just covered that one. Send someone a video after speaking with them. What do you follow up with? And then Ricardo and Gloria, they said this is great. Follow up is the key. And then Ricardo also says confidence beats knowledge, but knowledge enhances confidence. That is exactly true. Mike Healy always has a comment that I think is an old Zig Ziglar comment, where knowledge on or what's it? What is it? It's enthusiasm on fire is better than knowledge on ice, right?
Oh
Like
yeah.
action is better than just knowing about stuff, right? And that's a key thing too. Just like you said, if you get off the couch and you go out there and you talk to 10 people a day, like if you focus on just getting those 10 people, don't even focus on anything else, but sharing it with 10 different people, that's going to bring people in, right? That's going to get people to that next appointment, that next meeting, whatever it is that you're doing or that you're trying to, that absolutely works, especially when you're in person like that. You'll be able to follow up with people a lot easier. And the more that you do it, you get better at it, right? Repetition is key.
Absolutely. And that's so true, that statement. There's a lady, I won't call her out by name, but I don't know if she's on the call tonight, but she comes to my Monday night meetings. And we jokingly talk about how she knows nothing about Texit, but she has sponsored so many people, and it's insane. And she just gets them to the meetings, or she gets them on the Zooms. And she's like, "Look, I don't have time to learn right now." And she does know a little bit, and she's came a long ways. But when she got involved in Texit, she knew nothing about crypto, right? Nothing at all. And but she didn't wait to learn before she put in the work. She was excited, she was on fire, and she just got people to the meetings, whether in person or in Zoom. She probably sponsored 30, 40 people before she could even, talk about Texit or really fully understood everything. Now she's doing great. She understands the comp plan, she understands crypto, she's buying and selling on different platforms. So she's come a long ways. But she didn't feel like she had to learn everything before she started sharing and blessing other people with the opportunity. And that's why I tell people they get stuck in that learning phase, and it causes paralysis, right? They don't feel like they can do anything until they know everything. And that is not the case, right? You can get out there and you can share it. You don't have to feel like you know everything before you get to work.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a couple guys on my team that they're like the biggest producers on my team, and they didn't even know anything about crypto when this started. One of them literally didn't even know about Bitcoin. Like maybe have heard about it on the news or something one time, but like literally did not know anything about Bitcoin. That it's been around a long time. More valuable this year than it ever has. And man, he's just absolutely killed it just by being pumped up, being genuine about it, sharing this with people, telling them, again, it's this close knit circle. That's all where everybody wants to start out with, is your friends, family, the people that you really know. Because that's the people that you don't really have to go in depth with it and explain, what every piece of the project, right? You can just explain how excited you are, and again, focus on driving them to the next meeting or next Zoom call. And if you don't have, like one person posted, like they don't have in-person meetings, and stuff like that. Well, we do these Thursday night calls as well, just for prospects, right? And we rotate out different rangers. Have you done a Thursday night one yet? Are you on the schedule?
So no, I'm not. I do calls, but so I do one on Wednesday night for anyone and
Yeah.
everyone as well. There's so many Rangers doing calls. So mine's Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's a Zoom, so anyone can jump
Yep.
in and bring their guest. We do Tuesday night 2 p.m. training as well, that people can jump on. There is so many Zooms going on right now, guys. You could probably probably at least 1 to 5 Zooms a day every
A
day.
day.
That's
Yeah, it's wild now to see again because you got in back in February. It's wild to see where we're at today compared to where we were. And there's a meeting, there's a Zoom, there's something happening every day, multiple times a day now. And it's not hard to go out there and again capture people's attention about crypto because crypto is still the hottest thing to talk about, right? Everybody wants to make money, and crypto is the most exciting thing that you can make money with because again it's still new, right? It still has the newness of it that a lot of people if you're talking to crypto people out there, real savvy crypto people, crypto for them has been around forever and they're an expert, right? But for the 99.9% of people like you're talking about, it's new and it's exciting and they want to learn more, and there's nowhere else out there that they can go to learn about this stuff. And so by since you already know these people, or you have some type of relationship with them, they're going to trust a certain percentage of what you say. And then if you're guiding them and showing them how to get to somebody that is an expert, that's the recipe for success right there. You don't, I think a lot of people think that they have to know everything, they have to do all the work, but they really don't. They just have to get them to in front of somebody, in front of a Mitchell Tucker or somebody out there that is the expert, right? And
right.
and that's it. And we all reap the benefits from it. We all get the rewards.
there's no easier time than now to work in the crypto space and to talk to people about crypto, because you can't flip on the news without hearing our president talk about it. You can't turn on the radio without hearing about it. You can't do anything. You can't scroll through social media without hearing about it. So it's not, we're kind of getting over. Yes, there are crypto scams out there, no doubt, but crypto in general has been well vetted. It's here to stay. And what I like to remind people is this is nothing new. Our finances has evolved, right? We went from trading chunks of gold and silver, and then we went to a currency that was developed by governments, right? Then we moved to fiat currency, no longer backed by gold, but just paper money. Now we have pieces of plastic that you can touch and make payments. And now we have crypto. Every time it's evolved, there was a class of people that were like, what? No, I'm not doing that. I'm not touching that. But those who
Right.
chose to evolve with it quickly are the ones that made the most money and benefited from it. So that's why I remind people too, this really isn't nothing crazy. It's just money evolving again, like it has for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah, absolutely. I always use the analogy of computers because I talk to, a lot of the people I talk to are older than me and quite a bit older than me, and like more my dad's age and stuff like that. And like those people lived through the time before computers were even like a real thing, and then seeing computers, in schools and stuff, and then some places, and before they were ever in like your home, right? Then all of a sudden, back when like dial up was out and stuff, like everybody had a computer at their house, but they had one computer. And now today we walk around with a supercomputer. That's an iPhone, by the way. I don't know if anybody can see that, but now everybody walks around with a supercomputer in their pocket, right? And if
Right.
you would have said that 25 years ago, 30 years ago, people would have thought you were crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, that's where we're at with crypto. We are where we're in that weird time to where it's been around long enough to know that it's going to stay around. It's a new technology, but now it kind of like you said, it's kind of been vetted deep enough now to where all the big wigs are getting in, right? All the billionaires, all the richest people, all the people in the know have got their hands in it before everybody else, and this is our time, right?
Mhm.
This is our time to capitalize on something innovative, new, and upcoming that's not being done like this. And that's the whole reason Bobby created this whole thing, right? And so, yeah, I think just keeping it simple. I think for a lot of people, not overcomplicating it and keeping it very simple is really the key to having success, right? Not getting into the inner workings of how crypto works primarily, or TEXITcoin, right? You don't have to get into all the nuts and bolts of it and what we're doing in our phase 2 stable coins and blah, 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 and all this different stuff. It's going to convolute it to where it's too confusing, right? And
Yeah.
so, how do you keep from going down the rabbit hole too far for like when you're into that pitch with people?
Well, like I said, I don't try. I know people want to dig and they're like, but just tell me, just tell me, just like, what do
Yeah.
you say? I really keep it super simple. Like you said, guys, I don't mention, most of the time, I don't mention the word Texit. I don't mention much of anything at all. I just get them onto the Zooms or into the meetings. Hey, do you know anything about crypto? No. That's what you're going to get 99% of the time. Well, I have a buddy of mine who is absolutely killing it in the crypto space, and he teaches how to do it 100% free. There's a lot of people who don't have local meetings in their area, so we'll use for Zoom for an example. I have a buddy who's absolutely killing it in the crypto space, and he teaches how to do it completely for free. I'm going to jump on the Zoom Wednesday night at 7. Will you, or Wednesday night at 8, or whenever you're getting on a Zoom, right? If it's a corporate Zoom or if it's my Zoom or another Ranger Zoom, I'm going to jump on that on a Zoom Wednesday night at 8 to learn how he's doing it. You want to check it out with me, and then follow up with him, and then maybe like 45 minutes, 30 minutes before the Zoom, resend the link and say, hey, are you still free? Are you going to jump on this with me? I want
Yeah.
you to check it out. You could even, I value your opinion. Will you check this out with me?
Yeah.
That's valuable.
That's one thing that I did a lot too in the beginning days, in the early days when I was trying to find people. I would go out there and ask them, what they knew about crypto, but I would tell them, I'm trying to find somebody that can really pick this thing apart and tell me where the flaw is. I
Right.
would
Yeah.
tell that to people,
That's great.
and then I'd break it down. I'd go through everything with them and why it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I want to get in that. Okay, well,
And
how
then
many seats you want?
right. And then the second the Zoom is over, I'm on my phone. Hey man,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Don't let them sit on it. Call them as soon as the Zoom ends. What'd you think about that? What's your opinion?
Yeah.
This is
And
what I
dig deep.
think.
Ask the questions. Ask the questions. Ask the questions.
Yeah.
That's key. All right. I kind of kept you on here a long time, but we got a couple questions. I'm going to handle this one. If people ask about tax situation with crypto profits, how do you handle that? Talk to your financial advisor or talk to your tax person, right? How did you use that basically what you did you ever get into it?
I never get into it.
No.
It's a dangerous question to answer, guys. So I just
Yeah.
say, look, I'm not a tax expert. Crypto's been around long enough now to where most tax consultants know what to tell you, what to do with it. So I would just say reach out to a tax consultant. They'll be able to.
Yep. Yep. That's the best. Matthew says, how can we find out about these mini Zoom calls during the week, like Mitchell's? Can someone create a list, be posted on Telegram? It's going to be hard to coordinate all that for a list, but everybody drops them in Telegram periodically.
Yeah.
Like usually the day that they're having them too, or a couple hours
That would
before.
be a cool idea if there are rangers that are doing Zooms consistently every week at a certain date and time. Maybe we can work. I'll work with Tim, and maybe we can get all the
See if we
rangers.
can get a list put together of those.
That would be pretty
Yeah.
cool. We create a PDF and get it in there.
Okay. We'll work on that. And Kevin says, thank you for doing this each week. 2 questions. Where can I find the recording for this call? Where can I find the Zoom link for Mitchell's Zoom? The recording for this always gets dropped in the objections and rebuttals group. What about your Zoom call, Mitchell? Where do you guys drop that?
I will post it in the corporate Telegram.
Do you have your own? Do you have your own Ocala, Florida Zoom, Telegram chat going?
Yes, we have Team Savages. It's not necessarily Ocala, it's just for the team.
Okay.
And then, but I'll post the link for the Zoom in corporate Telegram so that they have it.
Okay, that'd be great. I think a lot of people would like to follow along with what you guys are doing out there in Flexitville.
I love that.
All right, so that's all we got for questions. I've kept you on here long enough. I appreciate you coming on. Again, I think that was great. I think it's great to hear from a lot of these top rangers. You know, a lot of these different guys, and you know, you have a lot of great stuff. Again, you've shown it too. Like you're one of the biggest organizations out there in this thing too. So you're doing great. So far, I don't know if anybody's paid attention to today, but today for a Monday, we've already signed up 476 people this week, and that's just today. We're on pace to have an absolute great week. And so Mitchell just came in and dropped a ton of fire here, you know, a ton of knowledge for everybody to take with them and go out there and make the most out of this week. So appreciate it, Mitchell, for coming on. Congratulations on being our newest LoneStar Ranger. Again, it's phenomenal. Anything you got for us?
No, I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed my time on here, and I look forward to the next time.
All right, sounds good, man. Let's have a great week, everybody, and have a good night. We'll see you.